A lot of people have heard my name, they've maybe seen a picture of me sitting on a toilet, and they think that that's what I do.
How many albums, because it keeps changing every time I total, has Frank Zappa and or the Mothers in any carnation put out to date? Do you have a tabulation on that?
About 22, I think.
Is that right? That's an amazing thing. Do you ever conceive of it, it's like a real common knowledge amongst people like myself who play Frank Zappa records and have to play other records that the guy is too good to make it commercially and will probably never be recognized until about 2080 something. Do you believe that?
No.
I mean, recognized commercially.
No, I don't think that that's necessarily a criteria by which to judge what I do. Unfortunately, that's the American way, because the Americans are always have a tendency to judge something as being good depending on how many other people have come in contact with it. All right, so in order for a lot of people to come in contact with it and to share the common thing to discuss, it has to be put on media so that it goes out to a lot of people. You see, before a record is sold in large quantities, it has to be heard in large quantities. What I do is absolutely wonderful, but so what?
Dreamed I was an Eskimo.
For every artist who makes music, there's somebody out there who wants to hear that kind of music, even if it's the artist's mother, father, sister, or brother. There's an audience for all of its slim plays. So everybody has a right to listen to what they enjoy. The only thing that I'm concerned about is making sure that people have the information that there are alternatives to Captain and Tennille and other types of things. And, there might be people out there who might like what I do if they only knew what it was that I do. A lot of people have heard my name, they've maybe seen a picture of me sitting on a toilet, and they think that that's what I do. Well, I do sit on the toilet, so do you. But besides sitting on the toilet, I also play the guitar, I also write these funny songs, I also write songs that aren't funny. I write music for orchestra, I do a bunch of other things. It's a television show that was shot at KCET about 3 years ago. And it's been shown on the air in France and Switzerland. It's never been broadcast in the United States. And the only audiences that have seen it in the States have been for private showings or at a Frank Zappa film festival that was held in Ann Arbor, Michigan sometime last year. We ran this festival there and a few thousand people saw it at that time. But other than that, nobody in the States knows what the show looks like.
What's the chances of getting this TV thing on in America? Or what problems have you run into then?
Quite a few. Most of the people who see it say, boy, that's really fantastic. And then when it's time to talk about putting the thing on the air, the best offers I had is, well, we'll do you a public service and we'll sort of put it on for you. But, it costs $200,000 of my money. I would like to get that back so I can do another one.
And you've approached like the networks and subsidiary networks?
Yeah, I've been all through that crap.
Syndication. That's really sad. That's really sad.
Yeah, let's weep.
How long do you think before the media is going to just go, oh, enough of the game shows, let's get into some, doing something?
I don't think that they will.
Ever?
Perhaps not in our lifetime. As long as they can make a buck from a show that costs $2 and gives unemployed Hollywood actors a chance to go on and do guessing routines, or gives housewives a chance to put on a costume and jump up and down next to the announcer with the man-tan skin and pretend to be excited about a refrigerator. As long as they can do that, why should they do anything else?
Saturday Night, have you ever seen that?
Watched it last weekend.
What do you think?
Some of the routines were fantastic. And I thought one of the great things of television history was when Rita Coolidge was singing and the piano player was playing a solo and they had the rhythm guitar player turned up and you watched this guy for 2 minutes whapping away on the keys and there was zero coming out. The best thing that the government has working for them is the fact that the people that they're trying to control are willing to be controlled.
But what about the changes in society? The fallout from the explosion of the Summer of Love?
Well, it is looser, but, it still ain't loose.
Well, naturally, Frank Zappa isn't buying any of the popular notions of our generation. I'm Jim Ladd, and we find out why next, when our Frank Zappa interview continues.
And now a word from our sponsor. First of all, you have to realize some aspects of the 60s are very easily forgotten. People overlook some facts about the 60s.
Some of the harder times, sure.
No, I'm not talking about the harder times, but some of the underlying things that were really going on there. For instance, LSD. Now, let's face it. LSD was manufactured by the CIA. You already know that. They were using it on people in the Army to test it. And the connection that you were probably dealing with for LSD in San Francisco in those days was probably working for the government. And he was using the whole teenage population of that area in order to test that drug.
Is that what you believe?
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that part of that whole situation during the 60s was government manufactured. They manufactured it. That stuff's been around for years, way before Haight-Ashbury. Haight-Ashbury is just a logical extension of their testing.
You're telling me then that whole incredible thing that went down in Haight and all that was not some kind of, if nothing else, a sporadic phenomenon that just happened?
No, I would say that it was maneuvered. I would say it was manufactured. It was as manufactured as a lot of the riots that were manufactured for television broadcasts in order to support another party's political view.
Well, I'm about to get sick.
You think that someone sat down and said, okay,
Let's do this.
you do?
Yeah.
Amazing, in 1960.
Yeah, even then they were thinking about that sort of stuff. I think that somebody sat down and said, let's do this.
That's incredible. If there's anything that seems to have worked against the government, that's it.
Bah humbug. What about all those riots you saw on television and you find out a few years later that they were under the auspices of various government agencies that were working for Nixon or working for somebody to stage riots, to make things look a certain way, to have proper television coverage of that event, and to portray young people in a certain light so that the vast majority of people in the United States who are in the voting power and who had something to do with the money transfer business would see things a certain way. Look, in the 50s, a teenager was an unwanted commodity. Nobody knew yet that that was the new big consumer market. They were just troublemakers, you know, and so the teenagers were sort of swept under the rug. They were the wild teenage thrill seekers and juvenile delinquents, and nobody had any use for them until they found out that those little spare time jobs that they were getting and the money that they were getting for allowance, when added up, turned out to be billions of dollars per year for certain products. And at the point that that was discovered, one of the great truths of business lit up over the heads of all these people in those places where they work on these kind of things.
We can farm this horde of teenagers.
That's right. Let's get their bucks, and that's all it was. We can't just get their bucks, we have to keep them under control because money means power. If these kids have money, then those kids have power. If they ever find out that they have power, we're in trouble. You know, they'll be uncooperative. So they have to be dealt with, and there are ways of dealing with them.
The only thing that I find hard to believe, and believe I'm willing to change, in my opinion, you know, if I can be convinced, but the fact that Leary, who spent all that time in jail, on the run, this and that, and this and that.
Look, how about some of the Watergate people that wound up spending time in jail? I mean, that's one of the things that you do when you wind up working for the CIA, working for those government agencies. That's part of the ball game. You might wind up in jail, but it ain't that tough on you. I mean, you go to jail, but I mean, you go to special jail. You go to comfy jail.
Well, again, I must...
You don't go to Tank C, you go to comfy jail.
But he went... Yeah, but there ain't no comfy jail in Orange County, Frank.
What do I know? I'm just...
I'm only asking for your opinion, you know.
That's my opinion. My opinion is that I don't trust any of them. I believe only the worst of all of them. I think that the government has acted despicably in the past in perpetrating this horrible hoax against the American teenage population. Well, you ask me for my opinion, that's it. I believe that that whole syndrome, especially San Francisco, was government manufactured. It was brought to you
via
the government.
And you think it was pointless?
No, I think that you can learn a lot from it if you look at it the right way.
But not
my idea of looking at it the right way is to see that it was directly connected to the government and to see how all-pervasive the government of the United States can be, you know, into places where you wouldn't expect it to stick its head up.
Yeah.
People usually wear the government's hands when the hand goes in their pocket. They're not usually aware when the government's hand is reaching for other erogenous zones on their body, or sticking the government's fingers in your ear, or covering your eyes up.
How long do you think we have in this, I should say, illusion of freedom that we have? I wouldn't say the Garden of Eden, but let's say the end.
I would say that the illusion will continue as long as it's profitable to continue the illusion. At the point where the illusion itself becomes too expensive to maintain, they will just take down the scenery. They will pull the curtains. They will move all the little tables and chairs out of the way, and you will see the brick wall at the back of the theater.
Whatever happened to consciousness expansion? People learning.
Consciousness expansion is something that you pay for at a certain seminar. You know?
If that's the vehicle, that's the vehicle. If it's Catholicism or TM.
That's right.
As long as it works.
Well, as long as you pay, that's the bottom line. See, for every one of those things you're paying. Nobody was ever a Catholic for free. Nobody ever went to TM for free. fact of the matter is, there is no hip world, there is no straight world. There's a world, you see, and they have people in it that believe in varieties of different things. I mean, everybody believes in something, right?
Right.
They got to. Or
Whatever it is.
Whatever it is, they believe in something, okay? And everybody, by virtue of the fact that they believe in something, they use that something to support their existence. Now, who's to decide that this guy over here is really right, you know? Who decides that stuff?
Take those flowers out of your hair and eat them. Live on the radio. Now a word from our sponsor.
Still haven't used any LSD, still haven't used any drugs.
I'm Jim Ladd, and our interview of Frank Zappa continues.
You know, the thing that amazes me is the general consensus of opinion, which is probably brought about by the government, that it's impossible to do anything creative unless you have used chemicals. See, most kids think that way, you know, and I think that it's an erroneous assumption. As long as they're led to believe that, there's going to be a market for those drugs, and the drugs are part of the way that the government helps keep everybody under control. Notice, conveniently, how certain drugs go on and off the charts. You know?
The drug charts.
That's
really?
right. Okay, now why? You have to think of this as a merchandising plan.
That's very funny.
It's not funny, it's true. It's the way it is, you know. People who are in the business of selling drugs to people let a certain drug happen for a while so that everybody says, yeah, that's really in, and you have acceptance in your peer group as long as you are an expert in the use of a certain type of drug. In other words, the social niceties of how you're going to snort brand X. You know, if you know all the right hip little moves of how you're supposed to chop it up and what you're supposed to do. And, I mean, in Hollywood, I saw some guy express his ultimate coolness by dumping his cocaine on the corner of a Hammond organ and refusing to snort it except through a rolled up $100 bill. That's how hip he was. All this stuff just gives you not only a physical sensation, but it gives you a social sensation. It gives you the impression that you have social worth in a certain circle of friends because you are as swank as they are, because you have all these mannerisms down and you know the mechanics of a certain lifestyle.
Absolutely.
And this is apart from other people's lifestyles, and so since you are different, you must be better. You know, and it just tends to reinforce feelings of self-worth in instances of people who might not have too much self-worth and need some, you know. So if you can't get it from religion, or you can't get it from television, or you can't get it from your mom and dad, you're going to get it from a guy down the street who's going to provide it to you for a price. And everybody's charging you for this. If it's not the guy that's selling you your dope, it's a guru who is going to give you a word that's going to set you free. Or it's some other schmuck who's going to tell you have to roll around on the floor and scream, and that's going to set you free. And everybody wants to get set free one time.
Hey, what you...
Okay, well, you want to get set free one time, all you have to do is get your pants off, admit that you have your pants off, and find somebody of the opposite sex, or, well, if you want to be a little bit weird, you can do something else, you know, but do it sexually. That's the only way that you're going to set yourself free.
Hot and everybody works.
That's your vehicle then?
Well, I think...
Or your drug?
I think that it's not a drug. I think that that's closer to the way things are really constructed. That, to me, that's much more logical, because it's like a built-in appliance.
It's a tool.
Yeah, it's a tool, so to speak. It's a built-in appliance. You're already given that method for amusement. You know, it's not just for making babies. It's definitely the finest form of amusement. Since the United States was founded by people who didn't know about that kind of amusement or didn't like to talk about it too much, you know those Puritans. Anybody who goes around wearing black with big buckles all over their clothes has got to be nuts. You know, the thing is that you should get used to thinking of those things in natural terms, you know, and just see them for what they are. And next time somebody announces that there's a smut cleanup in your town, know right away that it's a gimmick. It's got nothing to do with sex being dirty, and it's not like that at all. It's just the most blatant example of governmental mind control on its simplest hometown level.
Have you ever met a woman that was impressed by your mind, or was it always da-da-goo-goo back to the chorus again?
Oh, I certainly know a few smart girls. I actually know a few smart women. They are extremely rare, smart women, because women themselves are rare. There's plenty of girls and ladies out there, as you all know.
Yes, but women are rare.
Yeah, women are rare. Just remember that a girl is a person that has a choice of becoming a woman or a lady, and a lady is the thing that needs to be liberated, not a woman. To liberate a lady, first thing you do is take her white gloves off.
That's the first thing.
That's the first thing.
And from there...
You improvise.
Yeah. How would Frank Zappa go about... Let's say that you met this incredibly beautiful young fox who was a lady from Iowa. White gloves, tight skirt, real hose, no pantyhose, spike shoes.
Garters the works.
Garters and the... Yeah, I mean, let's get down. You know what I'm saying?
Pinafore, perhaps.
Pinafore, and she's a virgin.
Strong Baptist background.
Hey. How would you go about liberating this young thing into being the total human being that God meant her to be?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't bother, because obviously if she's that well packaged, she's definitely into it, and it's none of my business.
You don't think that...
I don't think that it's my business to go around inflicting my lifestyle on other people.
I couldn't say where she's coming from.
Despite the years of Susie Cream Cheese and Dynamo Hum, Frank Zappa's still hanging in there.
Well, you seem to be surviving. You look healthy. I mean, you're definitely not a casualty of...
I can still tie my own shoes. I'm wearing loafers today.
God, that's right. And they're brown, too.
No, they're orange.
Now that we're back from our commercial break, what's the new album called?
Zoot Allures.
Zoot Allures?
Yeah.
Why is it called? Is there a reason for the title? Is there some kind of story behind that?
Probably.
Are you going to tell it to us?
No.
Give me a break here. Give me some words on the new material.
Well, it used to be a double album, but I cut it down to a single album. And the lineup on the album now is side one is Black Napkins, which was recorded live at a concert in Osaka. And then it goes into a song called The Torture Never Stops.
Which is about what?
It's about torture not stopping.
Flies all green.
And after that, let's see, what else is on that side? Oh, Disco Boy.
Disco Boy.
Yeah. That song came about because we were in Denmark and went to a place there called the Disc Club. And it was really poot. I mean, so it was so make-believe sophisticated that it was embarrassing. You know? The place was decorated like a Playboy-type living room, or a Danish idea of what a Playboy living room would sort of be like. Low boy chairs and snackettes on the table, and everybody drinks and dances to these robot beat records, which I happen to like. I'm very fond of monotony. I think that it's an integral part of contemporary civilization, and once you adapt to it, that you'll be better in phase with your reality.
Is this a blatant commercial sellout on your part, Frank?
No, I think that it's probably one of the funnier commentaries on the disco syndrome. I'll recite it to you if you like.
Please.
Disco boy, run to the toilet, honey, comb your hair. Disco boy. God, I can't remember. It's been a long time since I sang it. Let's see, what is another vocal that's on there? There's several instrumentals on there. I think there's only 3 vocals. Oh, there's another vocal. There's Wonderful Wino.
Wonderful Wino.
Yeah. L.A. in the summer of '69. I went downtown and bought some wine. Boy, I drank it down and went under the table. Watch me now. I'm gonna eat the label. I'm a wino man. Blah, da, da, da.
L.A. in the summer of...
Yeah, this has been a very good one. Is there anything that you particularly had on your chest that...
Besides the microphone?
that we didn't get to today?
No. You completely covered everything.
I'm sure that we did.
May the good Lord bless and keep you until we meet again.
And most importantly...